Today we are going to be talking about one of the metaphysical questions, what is a person? Right now, a person is an entity that has been given legal and social rights. In this subunit, we are going to be looking at four main considerations of what a person is. We'll be looking at animals, humans, machines, and souls. Firstly, we're going to look at humans. Is there a difference between humans and persons? To me, a human is flesh and bone. But to others, a human is a psychomatic union of human flesh and human spirit. The second question is, are all humans persons? Some philosophers believe that thinking is what makes a human being a person. They qualify thinking as remembering facts, adding numbers, and so on. René Descartes, who was a French philosopher and dualist, had a famous quote, "I think, therefore I am," which he used a lot for the question, what is a person? He also thought a person was someone who could think, which included doubting, willing, imagining, and feeling. John Locke shared the same views as René, but added to being able to think was to reason, reflect, and remember. These two philosophers believe that thinking is what makes a human being a person. An example of this perspective is the story of the sleeping murderer. This man named Ken Parks had a history of sleepwalking. Then one night, he drove to the home of his in-laws. He killed his mother-in-law and seriously injured his father-in-law. He then drove to the police station because he feared he had killed someone. His defense at the trial was that he was sleepwalking and was not responsible for what he had done. He was acquitted of his crime. To this day, he does not believe he killed his mother-in-law. The Supreme Court of Canada said he was not conscious of what he was doing, therefore, when he killed her, he was not thinking. The second thing we're going to look at is animals. Are all animals persons? In Quebec, a bill with acknowledging animals as sentient beings. This bill included jail time for animal cruelty. Also, they had different requirements for different animals in this bill, which brings me to my next question. Are only certain animals considered persons? Right now there's something called the Great Ape Project. This project wants apes to be changed from property to persons. The point of this is not about animals and humans and erasing the line, but maybe replacing that line. The third thing we'll be looking at is machines. It is always a debate if machines could think. So, are machines persons? Descartes would say no, because he thinks only human minds can think. There has been some tests to try and prove that machines can think. First is the Turing test. This test involves three players. Player A is a man, player B is a woman, and player C has to decide who is a man or woman without knowing. Player C will ask questions to figure it out. Player B is trying to help, and player A is trying to fool. It is said that a computer could be player A, and if he can trick player C as much as a human can, then it would pass the test and be considered intelligent. Critics argue that this test shows that machines can simulate thinking, which isn't the same as real thinking. Another test is a Chinese room experiment. Imagine you are in a room with one book, the English rulebook, telling you how to match one Chinese symbol to another. The book does not tell you what the symbols mean, and you do not know what they mean because you do not speak Chinese. Someone puts a paper through the wall with Chinese symbols on it. You match the symbols and reply back. He then thinks the room is intelligent because it understands Chinese. But the conclusion is false. This room is like a computer. The last thing we're going to look at is a soul. What is a soul? And is there a soul? We're going to look at three different philosophers' perspectives. First is René Descartes' perspective. He believes that the soul is a part of God and cannot disappear. The soul exists as long as God exists. And when death occurs, the soul is free from the body and lives on. The second person's perspective we're going to look at is Aristotle's. He believes that there are three parts of the soul. The narrative soul, which plants have, the sensitive soul, which animals have, and the rational soul, which humans have. He believes that if you have a soul, then you are alive. He also thinks that the soul cannot exist apart from the body. The last perspective is Plato's perspective. He believes that the soul is the center of a person and that a corpse is not a person because they are gone. He also believes that the soul exists before birth and continues after death. He believes that there are three parts of the soul. First is appetite, which controls lust, desires, and hunger. Second is spirit, which controls if you help people in emergency or turn away in disgust. The last is reason, which helps you engage in thought, make judgments, and difficult decisions. Now, with all this information, you can make your own definition. So, what is a person to you?